The golden rays of the afternoon sun streamed lazily through the curtains of a modest but warm little house. The home smelled faintly of soap and spices, a scent that always clung to it after cleaning day. Emmy, a woman of 43, pushed the door open with her elbow, balancing 2 grocery bags in her arms. She wore a light green blouse and a brown skirt, her dark hair tied neatly at the nape of her neck. Though her steps carried the weight of errands, her face bore the calm of a woman who found pride in managing her home. Her daughter, Kathy, was lounging in the sitting room, swinging her feet idly as she flipped through a magazine she wasn't really reading. She was 20 now, a young woman on the edge of adulthood, though her behavior often reminded Emmy of a mischievous child. Her bright yellow frock stood out against the dull brown of the sofa, the fabric catching the light as she shifted lazily from side to side. "Come help me with these, will you?" Emmy called. Kathy wrinkled her nose. "It's just groceries, Mother. You've got it." Emmy shot her daughter a look that was both weary and amused before setting the bags carefully on the kitchen counter. She began town pack, apples polished red as glass, carrots still flecked with garden soil, a bottle of milk cool with condensation. From the second bag came a loaf of bread, fresh and golden, its crust still dusted with flour from the bakery oven. Emmy set it near the edge of the counter, intending to slice it later for tea. Unnoticed by Emmy, Kathy's eyes locked on the bread the moment it appeared. The loaf seemed to glow in the afternoon light, its scent floating across the room. Hunger stirred in her belly, and with it, mischief. Her lips curled into a playful grin. She won't miss it, Kathy thought, her heart thumping with the thrill of the idea. Just one loaf, and I can sneak it before she even notices. She waited until her mother turned her back, bending to place vegetables into the lower cabinet. Quiet as a cat, Kathy tiptoed into the kitchen. Her yellow frock brushed against her legs as she leaned over and snatched the bread, tucking it tightly against her side. Suppressing a giggle, she darted out into the sitting room, nearly tripping over her own feet in excitement. When Emmy turned back to the counter, her brow furrowed immediately. The bread she had just set down was missing. She looked left, then right, certain she wasn't mistaken. Her eyes fell to the floor, where tiny crumbs trailed across the tiles like breadcrumbs from a fairy tale, her lips pressed together in a thin line. She knew exactly who was behind this. Following the trail into the sitting room, she found her daughter seated awkwardly, the bread hidden none too well on her lap. Kathy tore into it hastily, cheeks puffed with bites too big for her mouth. Crumbs stuck to the front of her yellow frock, betraying her theft beyond denial. "Kathy," Emmy said sharply. The girl froze mid-bite, her eyes widening. She chewed slowly, pretending innocence, though guilt was written all over her face. "Why yes," she mumbled through a mouthful, trying to swallow quickly. "Where is the loaf of bread I just set on the counter?" Emmy asked, her voice calm but laced with disappointment. Kathy shifted uncomfortably, her fingers tightening around the loaf. I don't know. Maybe it fell?" Emmy crossed her arms, stepping closer. Her eyes swept over her daughter's frock, at the crumbs clinging like evidence, and then at the half-eaten loaf still clutched tightly. "Don't play games with me," she said firmly. "You took it." Kathy tried to laugh it off, brushing crumbs from her lap. "I was hungry, that's all. It's just bread. Not like I stole gold." Her words were light, but her voice carried a nervous tremor. Emmy's expression softened only slightly, though her tone carried weight. "It isn't about the bread. It's about honesty, respect, and self-control. You are 20 years old, not a child sneaking treats from the kitchen." Kathy's face flushed. Her stomach tightened as she looked away, ashamed but unwilling to show it. Mother, you're making it a big deal. I was just teasing myself, taking it without asking. No harm done. No harm? Emmy repeated, her voice edged with frustration. If you think dishonesty is harmless, even in small things, how will you be trusted in bigger ones? What if tomorrow it isn't bread but money, or something more important? Trust is built on the little things. Kathy bit her lip, guilt gnawing at her, but pride made her protest. It's not like I lied, you did, Emmy cut in firmly. You tried to deny it just now. That silenced Kathy. The truth stung sharper than she expected. She fiddled with the hem of her frock, feeling small despite her age. This behavior, Emmy continued, needs to be corrected. I won't have you dismissing right and wrong like this. Kathy's eyes widened. You can't mean. You wouldn't. But Emmy had already dragged a sturdy wooden chair into the middle of the room. Sitting down, she patted her lap with a gesture that carried no room for argument. Kathy's heart raced. Embarrassment flushed her cheeks crimson. Mother, I'm 20. You can't put me across your lap like I'm a child. Emmy's gaze was steady. As long as you behave like one, you'll be treated like one. Come here. Kathy shook her head stubbornly, clutching the bread like a shield. But Emmy rose, pried the loaf gently from her daughter's arms, and set it aside. With firm but controlled hands, she guided Kathy over her lap. The girl gasped, her yellow frock tangling awkwardly as she wriggled in protest. This is humiliating, she cried, kicking lightly. Humiliation is not the point, Emmy replied calmly. Discipline is. And with that, the paddling began. The wooden paddle, usually hung in the kitchen for household use, landed with crisp swats across the fabric of Kathy's frock. The sound echoed through the small house. Each stroke carried not cruelty but correction, steady and deliberate. Kathy squealed and wriggled, her hands gripping the chair leg tightly. At first, her protests were loud, indignant. Mother, stop. I'm too old for this. Please. But as the smacks continued, her resistance softened into whimpers. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes, the sting of the paddle burning against her pride more than her skin. She felt small, childish, stripped of her grown-up pretense. Her yellow frock, once so cheerful, now felt ridiculous, like a costume highlighting her shame. She buried her face in her hands, wishing the floor would swallow her whole. When Emmy finally stopped, silence filled the room, broken only by Kathy's uneven breathing. Emmy set the paddle aside and lifted her daughter gently from her lap. Kathy stood awkwardly, cheeks flushed, eyes glassy with unshed tears. She rubbed her arms, avoiding her mother's gaze. Emmy's voice softened, the firmness replaced by care. Look at me, child. Kathy hesitated, then met her mother's eyes. You know why I did this, Emmy said. Kathy swallowed, her throat tight. Because I stole the bread. And lied. And because I cannot let you grow into someone careless, Emmy added, reaching up to smooth her daughter's disheveled hair. Discipline is not cruelty, Kathy. It is love in a harder form. One day you'll understand. Tears spilled down Kathy's cheeks at the gentleness in her mother's words. I'm sorry, Mother. I didn't think. I just wanted it. I know, Emmy whispered, pulling her into an embrace. And that's why I had to correct you. Not to hurt you, but to help you grow. For a long moment, they stayed like that, mother and daughter bound by both correction and compassion. That evening, the kitchen table glowed under the dim light of a single lamp. Emmy sliced the bread into neat pieces, spreading butter across them before sliding a plate toward her daughter. Kathy accepted it silently, her cheeks still warm but her heart lighter. She nibbled slowly, the taste richer than before. "This bread," Emmy said softly, "is not just food. Today it is a reminder that respect and honesty feed our lives more than anything else." Kathy nodded, tears glistening again in her eyes. "I won't forget. I promise." Emmy reached across the table and patted her hand. "That's all I ask, my girl." The night deepened outside, but inside the little home, the air was warm, not only with the smell of bread, but with forgiveness, trust, and a bond strengthened by discipline.